Welcome to the Tim Booker channel, where wisdom deserves to be shared. Wishing you an enjoyable listening experience. Today, I will be interpreting a book for you called ADHD 2.0, which is a popular science book about ADHD, also known as Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. ADHD, as commonly referred to, stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It encompasses two main components, attention deficit and hyperactivity. Therefore, ADHD is categorized into two types. The first type primarily exhibits symptoms of attention deficit, characterized by an inability to concentrate, without hyperactivity or impulsivity. The second type is known as combined type ADHD, where individuals exhibit both attention deficit and hyperactivity or impulsivity. The author of this book is Edward M. Hallowell, a renowned expert in the field of attention disorders. He has taught at Harvard Medical School for over 20 years and is a prolific author with more than 20 published works. In 1994, he published the first book on ADHD titled Driven to Distraction, which played a crucial role in raising awareness of this condition. Subsequently, the author wrote a series of books on ADHD, with a total global sales exceeding 1 million copies. Interestingly, the author himself is an individual with ADHD, and his motivation in creating the ADHD reading series is to dispel misconceptions about this condition. The biggest misconception arises from its name, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. People often hold biases against individuals with ADHD, assuming they are lazy, undisciplined, unable to focus, forgetful, and inconsistent in their actions. However, the reality is quite the opposite. ADHD individuals do not suffer from a lack of attention, they actually have an excess of it, but struggle to control and direct it. Their brains are in constant motion, like a Ferrari engine with bicycle brakes. They possess tremendous imagination, creativity, and keen observation skills, which are inherent gifts. Many well-known figures throughout history, including Einstein, Mozart, Hemingway, and Van Gogh, had ADHD. Even Kary Mullis, the inventor of the PCR test for diagnosing COVID-19, had ADHD. As the book's title suggests, the gift of distraction emphasizes that distraction is not a flaw but a trait. It can be a hindrance or a talent, depending on how we manage it. Another common misconception about ADHD is that it only affects children. In reality, adults can also develop ADHD, often in response to significant life challenges, such as becoming a parent or facing intense academic or work-related stress. When life's demands exceed one's coping abilities, ADHD symptoms may surface. In the 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5, adult ADHD is recognized as a legitimate condition, affecting millions of individuals of all ages. In China alone, 25 million children are diagnosed with ADHD, with an estimated 250 million adults also suffering from this condition. ADHD is prevalent in our modern society, where constant exposure to vast amounts of information and distractions has made it easier for people to become absent-minded and forgetful. Often, rather than a definitive ADHD diagnosis, what many people experience is vast, variable attention stimulus trait, a pseudo-ADHD condition that is not an illness but a trait. This is why I have chosen to interpret this book, as it offers universally applicable solutions for anyone looking to improve their focus. In the first part, we will delve into a detailed understanding of ADHD, its symptoms, potential advantages, causes, and the characteristics of VAST. We will also explore why individuals with ADHD or VAST are more prone to negative emotions and why historically creative geniuses often battled addiction, depression, bipolar disorders, and other mental health issues. After addressing these questions in the first part, the second part will focus on methods to improve ADHD and VAST. We will explore strategies for managing our attention effectively. Alright, let's officially dive into this book. To make the listening experience smoother, I will use the term ADHD interchangeably with Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. In individuals with ADHD, you often witness contradictory behaviors. Sometimes, they easily get distracted, but other times, they become excessively focused, forgetting everything around them. At times, their lives seem devoid of purpose, but other times, they pursue specific goals relentlessly. They may procrastinate, completing tasks only at the last minute, yet they can also demonstrate remarkable efficiency. Impulsivity can lead to poor decision-making on occasion, but they can also come up with creative solutions to complex problems. In social interactions, they may appear withdrawn and uncommunicative at times, yet display exceptional intuition and empathy on other occasions. From a medical perspective, ADHD has a set of clinical criteria, but non-clinically, it appears as a complex set of seemingly contradictory traits. This is why it's inaccurate to describe ADHD as a deficit. Specifically, individuals with ADHD commonly exhibit the following characteristics. 1. Wandering minds. People often perceive individuals with ADHD as absent-minded, assuming they are not putting in enough effort or discipline. However, biologically, their distractibility stems from a lack of neural stimulation. It's not that they don't want to concentrate, they genuinely struggle to do so. Inside the ADHD brain, it's like a popcorn machine, with novel thoughts constantly popping up, resembling corn kernels exploding. Their thoughts constantly bombard their minds, making it difficult to focus. 2. Poor organizational skills. In clinical terms, this is known as an executive function deficit. For instance, if you tell your daughter with ADHD to get up and get dressed, 20 minutes later, you might find her still in her pajamas playing around. Similarly, if your husband with ADHD is asked to take out the trash, he might walk past the trash can, completely forgetting the task, as if he didn't hear your instruction. These situations can be frustrating and make it seem like they don't care, but it's the effect of their neural traits. 3. Low boredom tolerance. ADHD individuals have a low tolerance for boredom. When they find something boring, their minds frantically seek any stimulating distractions to escape the tedium. Mundane tasks, like taking out the trash, can seem exceedingly dull to them, causing them to overlook them. However, when external stimuli and pressure are strong enough, they can experience hyperfocus, losing track of time while completely engrossed in a task. On the flip side of their wandering minds, individuals with ADHD possess a rich imagination and creativity. Their thoughts are always active, and they often exhibit unique and quirky senses of humor. Many stand-up comedians and comedy writers have ADHD, and their humor may stem from their distinctive thought patterns. However, these bursts of creative inspiration can easily be extinguished due to frequent criticism from others, leading them to feel unappreciated and like failures. Another characteristic of individuals with ADHD is that they often struggle with time management. Procrastination comes easily to them because their perception and sensitivity to time differ from those of the general population. They lack a strong sense of time and may not even notice it passing. Entire days can slip away from them unnoticed. In the typical world of someone with ADHD, the concept of time planning simply does not exist. They have difficulty scheduling tasks at specific times. To them, there are only two categories of time, now and not now. For instance, if someone tells them they need to leave in half an hour, they might interpret it as, "We don't need to leave right now." When given a deadline, like a report due in 5 days, they might perceive it as, "No rush, there's plenty of time." This simplistic approach to time management can lead to various problems. Most individuals with ADHD do develop some level of time management skills as they socialize and adapt to societal norms. However, their sense of time remains much more fluid compared to others. The third characteristic of individuals with ADHD is their stubbornness and reluctance to accept help from others. This may seem challenging to comprehend, but many individuals with ADHD, especially males, reject assistance. They prefer to do things in their own way, even if it means failing, rather than succeeding with the help of others. Part of the reason for this behavior may be their sensitivity to criticism and rejection. Small criticisms can deeply affect their emotions, and as a result, their self-esteem tends to be quite low. Therefore, they often require support and recognition from others. A bit of encouragement or acknowledgement can reinvigorate them. Additionally, individuals with ADHD tend to be impulsive and impatient. Delayed gratification is not their strong suit, and they often act before thoroughly considering the consequences. They frequently exhibit high energy and may be more prone to addiction issues, such as alcoholism or shopping addiction. This is because they crave change and seek to infuse their often monotonous reality with excitement. These are some of the common characteristics exhibited by individuals with ADHD. However, we cannot easily draw conclusions based solely on these behaviors. A proper diagnosis of ADHD requires further formal assessment at a medical facility. Now, let's discuss the causes of ADHD. Is it innate or acquired? The answer is both. In the field of behavioral science, ADHD is one of the most heritable disorders. In the general population, the percentage of people naturally born with ADHD reaches 5% to 10%. If one parent has ADHD, there's a 1/3 chance that their child will be born with it. If both parents have ADHD, the risk for their child to develop it increases to 2/3. Scientists have attempted to pinpoint which genes are related to ADHD, but it's not as straightforward as it seems. It's not just one or two genes, it's a sequence of genes. That's why each individual with ADHD displays a unique set of symptoms. Besides genetics, there are environmental factors that can contribute to ADHD. Factors like head injuries or oxygen deprivation during birth, as well as early infections leading to brain damage, can be linked to ADHD. During pregnancy, if the mother is obese, drinks alcohol, or smokes, it can increase the risk of her child developing ADHD. Additionally, some individuals may not have a biological diagnosis of ADHD, but they exhibit similar symptoms. This leads us to pseudo-ADHD or VAST, variable attention stimulus trait. VAST is not a disease, it's a set of habits that have formed as a response to the fast-paced modern life, bombarded with constant information. Our brains are forced to operate at an ever-increasing speed, and we have become addicted to the constant neural stimulation. Even a few minutes without looking at our phones can make us feel restless. We've developed new habits to cope with the rapidly changing modern world. These habits have given rise to a new concept, VAST. It's not a disease, it's a trait. Like ADHD, VAST traits have both positive and negative aspects. For example, individuals with VAST traits tend to be dreamers with rich imaginations but may often feel disconnected from reality. They desire independence and control over their lives but struggle with teamwork and following orders. They generate many ideas but find it challenging to fully develop any one of them. They make quick decisions but lack patience and can be impulsive. They start new projects with enthusiasm but often lose interest quickly and struggle to maintain long-term focus. They have talent in various fields but struggle to fully unleash their potential in a specific area. These are some typical characteristics of VAST. If you found yourself identifying with some of the traits mentioned above while listening to this segment, you might share some common attention-related challenges that many modern individuals face. So, the next topic we're going to discuss is bound to be helpful to you. Let's talk about the ways we can improve ADHD and VAST. First, let's understand how our brain focuses its attention. When we're engaged in various tasks like cooking, writing emails, or playing sports, various neurons in our brain form what's known as a network of connections. These connections, when activated, are collectively referred to as the task-positive network or TPN. Activation of the TPN signifies that our brain has entered a working mode. When we think in an active state of TPN, it's like entering a state of flow. However, we may also find ourselves stuck in the TPN, experiencing excessive focus, making it difficult to put down our phones or turn off the TV. So, concentrated attention isn't always a good thing. Many people today often seem distracted because they activate their TPN less frequently. With the constant stream of tasks at hand, there simply isn't enough time to fully concentrate on one task. But TPN is similar to our muscles. If we don't use it regularly, it can atrophy. Therefore, if our thoughts are constantly wandering, our TPN will gradually degrade, and our ability to concentrate will decrease. This forms a vicious cycle. When we complete a task or suddenly get distracted from a state of concentration, our brain switches to a different set of connections known as the default mode network or DMM. Activation of DMM indicates that our brain has entered an expansive, divergent thinking mode. We engage in activities like daydreaming, telling jokes, or brainstorming when DMM is active. TPN and DMM represent two aspects of our brain, each with its own functions and characteristics. In a neurologically healthy individual, these two modes can be freely switched between. One can enter a focused state of flow and switch to an active DMM mode, giving the brain some time for creative, idle thinking. However, individuals with ADHD or those with VAST tendencies are prone to getting stuck in the DMM, where their minds wander excessively. This can lead to a series of negative, pessimistic, self-critical thoughts. That's why many historically creative geniuses or artists often struggled with mental health issues such as depression, bipolar disorder, and ADHD. This is closely related to how their neural functions operate. They tend to get trapped in the DMM, leading to feelings of depression and despair. Research using functional MRI has shown that in a neurologically healthy individual, the TPN is active while performing a task, and the DMM automatically deactivates. However, in the brains of individuals with ADHD, there's a competitive relationship between the TPN and DMM. When the TPN is active, the DMM also remains active, trying to wrest control of the brain from the TPN. This results in a scattered focus. In simple terms, the switch between DMM and TPN in the brains of individuals with ADHD is malfunctioning. They may start a creative process with the TPN initially active, but then, suddenly, a negative voice interrupts the process. This is DMM interfering with TPN, and creative inspiration gets cut off. So, how can we repair the switch between TPN and DMM in the brain? How can we improve ADHD and VAST? Firstly, the author supports the use of medication under the guidance of medical professionals for individuals with ADHD. ADHD is one of the most treatable disorders in psychiatry, and there are various safe medications available in the field of psychiatry that can significantly improve the lives of ADHD patients. In addition to medication, there are also behavioral and lifestyle interventions. Let's discuss these methods one by one. The first method involves strengthening the brain's braking system by enhancing the function of the cerebellum. The cerebellum works in coordination with the inner ear's vestibular system to regulate the body's balance and movement. Within the cerebellum, the vestibulocerebellar system, VCS, plays a crucial role and is interconnected with our motor neurons. Many of our subconscious motor skills, honed through repeated practice, are controlled by the VCS. Examples include piano playing, surgical procedures, and emergency landings in aviation. Not widely known is that the cerebellum also affects cognitive and emotional regulation. It acts as a stabilizer for our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, reducing fluctuations in our emotions and cognition. It helps us maintain rationality in relationships and prevents us from losing coherence in moments of anger. Some patients with cerebellar injuries lack this ability. Recent research suggests that one way to improve the symptoms of ADHD is to stimulate and strengthen the VCS in the cerebellum, thereby enhancing its function. As mentioned earlier, individuals with ADHD can be likened to having a Ferrari engine with bicycle brakes. Strengthening the cerebellum is like upgrading the brain's braking system, enhancing our control over thoughts and emotions. Fortunately, among all the brain regions, the cerebellum is the most plastic, meaning it can be trained and improved. There are already many specific training methods available. These include balance training, which has been used by special educators for decades to alleviate symptoms of ADHD and reading difficulties. Specific exercises involve rotational stimuli, stationary jumping, plank exercises, ball tossing, single leg standing, and more. Apart from specialized balance training, regular physical exercise is also an effective method. During exercise, our attention systems are activated, and more neurons are engaged than in any other activity. The discharge of neurons promotes the secretion of dopamine and norepinephrine, two neurotransmitters that help improve attention. Many of the medications prescribed for ADHD patients aim to increase the concentration of dopamine and norepinephrine in the brain. A 2018 study showed that even just 20 to 30 minutes of exercise can improve reaction speed and accuracy. Significantly, 65% of participants in the study experienced improved planning and organizational skills. Some educators in the United States have started reforming traditional school recess times by encouraging children to engage in physical activities before classes. Running a few laps around the playground or jumping on trampolines for a while can be part of this initiative. No child can sit still for several hours continuously, and the same goes for adults. The author recommends at least 20 minutes of daily exercise, which can include a combination of aerobic exercise, reaching 70% of maximum heart rate for at least 20 minutes, balance training, example, using a balance ball to strengthen the cerebellum and core muscles, concentration-demanding exercises like dance, martial arts, team sports, strength training, and outdoor activities that connect with nature. The second approach is to reshape the environment. We know that various factors in our environment, including diet, chronic stress, and many others, can influence gene expression. In other words, your lifestyle choices play a significant role in determining whether you'll manifest genetic conditions. Many adults only discover they have ADHD when they undergo significant life changes. For instance, new mothers who experience the added demands of caring for a newborn, coupled with physiological changes and severe sleep deprivation, can disrupt their established routines and inner peace. While most new mothers gradually adapt to their new lives and regain order and inner calm, some may have underlying ADHD that gets triggered, and they might even develop postpartum depression. Similarly, transitions like starting school, whether it's entering high school or embarking on graduate studies, often come with new environments and a series of changes that could potentially trigger latent ADHD traits. So, what we can do is strive to create a positive environment for ourselves or our children. Creating an external structure is key. This involves planning and developing habits in our daily lives, such as brushing teeth and taking showers at specific times or adhering to a Monday-Wednesday-Friday exercise routine. While individuals with ADHD or VAS tendencies may prefer freedom and resist being constrained, having structure and routine can be highly beneficial. Starting small is often the best approach. Select 1 or 2 tasks that need regular attention and create a schedule. Having someone to hold you accountable and enforcing this external structure can help you stick to your tasks. For children who may have attention control issues, in addition to setting up a good timetable, it's also beneficial to allocate some unstructured playtime. Activities like running in the park or engaging in DIY crafts can help children release excess energy and unleash their creativity. The second environmental factor is nutrition. Focus on a diet rich in natural foods, with plenty of vegetables and fruits, while avoiding excessive sugar intake. Sugar can significantly promote the production and release of dopamine. ADHD brains, in particular, tend to crave the rush of dopamine release triggered by sugar consumption. However, to maintain this feeling, a continuous intake of sugar is needed, and when the dopamine secretion eventually stops, it can lead to worsening moods. Apart from external structure and nutrition, ensure an adequate amount of sleep. Surround yourself with positive, upbeat friends and other supportive individuals. For those with ADHD or VAS tendencies, these connections are crucial. In families with ADHD-afflicted children, these kids often endure psychological wounds, loneliness, and a greater sense of isolation compared to children in typical households. Many ADHD individuals have experienced misunderstanding, isolation, and ridicule, which can contribute to anxiety, isolation, and increased negative emotions. If more people can understand ADHD better and offer more empathy and support, it can provide individuals with ADHD the courage and strength needed to bring about positive changes in their lives. The third approach to improving ADHD and VAS is finding appropriate challenges and leveraging the advantages of distractibility. Most individuals with ADHD or VAS tendencies are naturally creative and have a strong desire to do something meaningful. When their desires are not met or they are required to engage in dull, uncreative tasks, they easily lose interest and fall into apathy. For them, the key lies in discovering the right challenges, projects that allow them to unleash their creativity and invest themselves. The author emphasizes that the goal has never been to fix people's flaws but to help them identify and harness their talents. So, for those with ADHD or VAS tendencies, the key is to discover their own talents, find appropriate challenges, and fully realize their potential. That concludes the main content from the book shared with you today. We've learned about ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and the author pointed out some deep-seated misconceptions and biases about ADHD. First and foremost, ADHD individuals are not lazy or indulgent, they simply have slightly different neurobiological functioning compared to typical individuals. There are occasional connectivity issues between their task-positive network, TPN, and default mode network, DMN, in the brain. Additionally, the cerebellum often experiences some imbalances, leading to difficulties in controlling attention. ADHD is not primarily about attention deficit, it's more about attention surplus. It shouldn't be seen as a flaw but rather as a series of complex, sometimes contradictory traits. ADHD can make people easily distracted, impulsive, and impatient, but it can also bring them rich imagination, creativity, and abundant energy. Whether it's an advantage or a disadvantage depends on how ADHD is managed. While the percentage of the population with actual ADHD is relatively low, many people exhibit some ADHD traits or display symptoms of vast, variable attention stimulus trait. Our multitasking work style and exposure to vast amounts of information have made it easier than ever for us to get distracted. In this fast-paced era, if you've managed to stay focused and listen through this nearly 30-minute audiobook, I can say you've already won in terms of attention. Everyone has their own lifestyle, and the way each person's brain operates is unique. Whether you have attention-related issues or not, I hope you realize that having a wandering mind can also be a source of creativity. I hope everyone can find the appropriate challenge that suits them and tap into their full potential. So, that wraps up the essence of this book. Congratulations on completing another book, and thank you for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share with your family and friends. Wisdom is worth spreading, and it's the key to a brighter future. Thank you, and goodbye.